All right, Bass, let's remind people Colby Plus not only makes wetsuits with the finest materials on earth, but they've also just introduced the white label line.
Yeah, look, this high quality limestone based, it's going to cost us considerably less than the Yamamoto suits. And of course, Colby's passing those savings on to us. So super stretch jersey on the inside and a recycled super stretch jersey that's obviously quite comfortable. The suit, um, I consider it like a utilitarian suit, like I always have two or three full suits so that I'm always in a warm one, a dry one, I should say. And this fits the bill, super good cost, super high quality, and keeps me in dry suits year round.
Exactly. So the Colby Plus line has traditionally been Yamamoto rubber. This is, like you said, a limestone-based neoprene, which is a lot less expensive than the Yamamoto. So you can have both, but the white label is considerably less expensive, direct to consumer. So all the same cost savings there. Go to Colby Plus, it's COLBY plus.com. Um, I would also click that sale tab, by the way, because they have previous season suits for discounted about a third, I'd say. So you can get like a 4-3 hoodie, 4-3 with a hood for less than 300 bucks. Poke around there if you're interested, but really great stuff from Colby Plus, always super premium quality products. I had a long catch up with Rob on the phone probably about a week ago, and they've got more coming in the pipeline too, additional products. So go to colbyplus.com to stay current. And then, of course, realwatersports.com for any and all of your water sport needs from surfboards down to board bags to foil kits. Everything's available on realwatersports.com.
Yeah, they've got the reverse V Twinser there from Maurice Cole. And, I want to say it was 2 years ago today that we visited Real Water Sports and took our foiling lessons. And if you're into learning, if you have an interest in learning how to foil or kite or wake surf, any of these things, Real Water Sports there in North Carolina is like the one-stop shop. Fly in, stay at their little bitchin' little condo right on the water, and immerse yourself in the water sport that you love, and move from being an aspiring activist to an enthusiast.
I can't imagine learning how to foil without the lessons. Like the
I know.
learning curve would be so much longer.
I know. People always ask me, like, oh, is it hard to do? And I'm like, yeah, actually, I flew to North Carolina to learn how to do it. And they're like, whoa, okay. But yeah, there's,
In the 3 day kind of immersive lessons that we had, I feel like that would have been 6 months of learning without an instructor.
yeah, guys, without that, guys were telling me, look, just go to San Onofre every day for 2 weeks straight, no matter what. And by the end of the 2 weeks, you'll have kind of probably figured out, I'll go up there and show you how, like that kind of thing. But we got like, hey, my sole purpose is to get you up on foil. Let's go.
Yeah. And they do camps for surfing and for other things as well. So check it all out at realwatersports.com.
As we see some movement at the takeoff zone, it's Kelly Slater grabbing rail.
Yeah, guy. Yeah, guy, David. It's July 16th, the middle of July in 2025. And this is Spit, the Spit podcast. David Lee Scales, Scott Bass. We're talking all things surf as we do each and every week. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Scott. Um, we're talking about real water sports and Maurice Cole. And is he coming to the boardroom show officially?
He is. Morris will be at the show. So,
Morris.
along with many others, I mean, we've got such a great lineup. Let me see if I can bore you by pulling it up. Um, looks like Rusty and Hobie and John Pizell. I spoke with John. He's excited to be there. Um, uh, Wayne Lynch, Patagonia. I don't have the list in front of me. I
Is
apologize.
is Wayne Lynch coming out?
No, but his surfboards will be on display.
Okay. I've been DMing with him for a very long time about doing a podcast together. And ultimately, we can do it on Zoom, but it'd be so much better to do it in person. And I did not take the time and the opportunity to do it when he was at the Boardroom show being honored. But that would have been perfect if he was coming out.
Yeah.
We will do another one with Maurice, though, since he's coming.
Heck yeah.
It's been a long time.
Sorry, I'm just pulling up my spreadsheet. Okay, so
I guess,
Let me just, I'll go through it.
yeah.
Von Sol surfboards, Bomb Waves, Trees Wax, Stu Kenson surfboards, Shape On surfboards, Apple Tree surfboards, Millennium Foam, Future Fins, Paizel surfboards, Thunderbolt, Firewire, Channel Islands, Stewart surfboards, Rusty surfboards, Shaping Up surfboards, Stay Covered Rome surfboards, Andrini surfboards, Cooperfish surfboards, FCS, NVS, DK surfboards, Hollingsworth surfboards, Huskaweek surfboards, Brewer surfboards, Hobie, Maurice Cole, Gordon Smith, Surftac, Eric Arakawa, Wayne Lynch, Wayne Rich, Tyler, first time Tyler, Hotzekian's doing the show, Patagonia, Roy Sanchez, Heinrich surfboards, Narval wetsuits, SoCal Surf Rex, Ahi surfboards. That's just a short list. I've got many Beamish, Christian Beamish, Adam Warden, AJW. It's that's shaping up to be quite a show. Come out
Congrats.
and meet these board builders. Come out and say hi. Talk to the people that are making your boards. This is the only industry where like you get to go and hang out with the people that are making your stuff. So great opportunity for consumers to get more insight and to be real close to the build of your favorite craft.
Hey, you deserve a big congratulations because I feel like Eric Arakawa has created a certain draw of a bunch of, uh, you know, contemporaries who want to come and support him. But also, you've built this kind of momentum leading into this that I think this feels like the most, I don't know what, it's got the most mojo going on.
The most mojo. It sounds like a song. Sounds like a song.
Have you ever, did you finish the song that you were writing in El Salvador?
No. No, let
Let's,
that to Greg, our friend Greg from Texas. He's the songwriter.
all right, well, let's get that one completed.
Or
Get DJ
Mitch, our
Seaweed in there. Yeah.
yeah, we need DJ Seaweed getting
Get
crazy.
get that completed and then add Mojo. Got the most mojo going on as the second track on the album.
By the way, I've been injured. I've had a foot injury, and our friend Nina Wheeler at Highline Physical Therapy reached out to us and said, "Hey, Scott, come on by." So I want to give a shout out to Nina for her help on my foot, and I'm getting better.
So
And
did you go see her?
I did. I
Good.
went and saw her. I'm going to see her again. I need to sign up for some PT. Um,
So
but
she was
it's
able to
funny. I've
help.
been under the weather with a illness for about a week, and so I've just been kind of laying low until I can get out in the public eye.
How are you utilizing your downtime?
Horribly. Like I'm just so drained by this illness. I've just been in bed every day for like I wake up and I have a cup of coffee and I'm like, okay, back to bed, and
Yikes.
I can't even read, like I have books next to me and I just fall asleep and that's my body working, trying to work in overtime
I
to get me feeling, and I'm feeling much better today. So
Okay, good. Yeah, listeners didn't know, but last week it was a Herculean effort for Scott to come on air and to deliver the goods. So I'm shocked that you're still feeling the effects of it, but
I
glad to have you
know
back.
that's the thing, right? Like that's not, it's one of these long-term kind of drag on type of things. I tested negative for COVID twice, so it's not COVID, but some summertime flu. Apparently something's going around. I'm not the only one throughout the nation here. There's been a summertime wave.
Sorry to hear it, man.
Yeah. And
And
I'm
I
one that
know,
I do get a flu shot. Like I'm one to get caught up on all my shots and stuff, but this one kind of attacked me.
well, I've had that happen once in recent memory, the last couple of years, where I'm too tired to even look at my phone.
Yeah.
Like you wake up from the nap and you're like, all right, I gotta at least check in with life.
Yeah.
And then you open an email or two and you're like, okay, I'm exhausted. Gotta go back to
Yeah.
bed. It's crazy.
I know. It is crazy. You know what I'm doing?
No. AG1.
I AG1. I'm doubling up on my AG1. Not just one canister, 2 canisters
Good.
of AG1.
Good. Foundational nutrition, man. That'll do it for you. Drinkag1.com/surf is where you
I
go.
can't tell you how many shirts I've ruined by drinking out of this cylinder. It just dribbles down my chin onto my white shirt.
Dude, we were driving to the airport one time, Lauren and I, and so like that's your outfit for the day.
Right.
And she had a white top on and she shook the AG1 while I'm driving in the car and we hit a bump on the 405 in the carpool lane, hit a bump as she was pulling it to her mouth and it splashed out right before she made contact with her mouth, splashed out green AG1 all over her white shirt and she was like I took the blame. I was like, she's like, what the heck? I'm like, it was just a bump on the freeway. It wasn't my fault. It was just terrible timing, you know? And she had to fly the whole day with a big splash of green on her white shirt.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't make a stop into the airport store for
So
a Los Angeles t-shirt.
right, exactly. No, she got to the airport and then went in the bathroom and like washed it, wrang it out, and so it was less green for the rest of the day, but it was still green.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, that's foundational nutrition right there. You're good. There's
All over.
nothing to be ashamed of.
Right.
Drinkag1.com/surf. Scott, I'm going to turn the tables on you.
Okay.
I know we have JBay to talk about. There's some other surf news, but I've got a who said that for you.
Okay, bring it on.
And this will lead directly into a couple of other newsworthy topics, but we'll start with a little bit of surf history here. Now, this was written by somebody, surf luminary. So that is who you have to name with who said that. But this was actually this wasn't them being interviewed. This isn't a quote. This is their own writing. This ran in the March 1975 issue of Surfer magazine. So that is a big clue for you. March 1975. And the article, this is the third paragraph, and it's going to be a little bit lengthy, but it's worth reading because it's great writing. Quote, missed the Smirnoff report in meeting. But the waves have gone down anyways. No contest and the waiting game commences. Guess I'll catch up on some shaping. Been trying to do more surfing than shaping. I find it difficult, near impossible in fact, to surf full on for hours and then shape boards with as much fervor. The surfing feels the improvement, but with those lapses in rack time, orders get backed, people get bummed, and I don't like thinking about it in the water. On with the dust mask and the planer winds. Despite the economic recession, there seems to be a lot of boards being sold on Oahu. The country shapers are all doing good business, perhaps filling a vacuum brewer made by charging $300 for his guns. BK has made himself a milling machine that whips out precisely foiled blanks and is doing his own glass jobs too. Mike Diffenderfer is back from Kauai, once again shaping on the North Shore. A good percentage of surfboard work is dedicated to Jesus, as a lot of guys have coupled their devotion to waves with devotion to the Lord. The influx of new bodies in the water has not been as proportionally radical as previous winter seasons. The most obvious new faces came from down under, probably because they arrived in consecutive plane loads to get cheaper tickets. Their surfing is all eager aggression, but the standouts seem to be the guys who paid their dues in previous winters. Rick and Paul Nielsen came right after summer to settle in. Ian Cairns landed a few weeks ahead of the pack and proceeded to rip Rocky Point. Terry Fitz is still into winged boards and some new spacey bottom concaves. Rumors are rampant that Nat will appear for the contest after a France jaunt. The most glaring absentee is Michael Peterson, said to be waiting for a Hang Ten contest in February. Seems like another page in the annals of Aussies in the islands may be turning over. End quote. Was it A, Jeff Hackman, B, Reno Abalera, C, Sam Hawk, or D, Tom Parrish?
Jeff Hackman.
No. Do you want to take a second guess?
Reno.
It is, in fact, Reno Abalera. Phil Jarrett wrote about him in a 1979 profile for Surfer Magazine and said, quote, Reno invented the surfing resume with a career that contained enough cool contributions for a whole team of sponsored surf jocks. Think about it. Hawaii State Junior and Makaha champ in 1966. Instrumental in the development of the real shortboard with Brewer in 67. Ripping Haleiwa on a minigun. 68 World Contest finalist at age 16 in Puerto Rico. Helped develop the first tri-fin in 1970, won the epic 1974 Smirnoff at Giant Waimea Bay, shaped Mark Richards' famous free ride quiver, and at the 1976 Coke contest in Sydney, he rode a 5'7" winged fish that inspired the modern twin fin. Surfer, shaper, traveler, competitor, writer, thinker, a half dozen surfers in one, except Reno did it all as a solo act with style and with smarts and with art. End quote.
Yeah, what a great little write-up about Reno. He's a highly intelligent person. And it's just, I guess I haven't seen him in a long time, but I think I'm hearing through the grapevine that, he could be in a better place probably. But I
Well,
guess we all could on some
I
level.
yeah, I was unaware of Reno as a writer. Like I knew of all those other kind of like Phil Jarrett said, accolades on his resume from contest wins and shaping and all that sort of stuff. But I stumbled upon this article in a 2001 issue, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, May 2001 issue of Surfer Magazine. And it was just a reflection on Reno. It's called Still Reno. And it had a little bit of that Phil Jarrett article in it. And what Surfer Magazine was doing at the time was they would devote a page to quote legends of the sport. And it would just kind of give you this little blurb about them. So I read that and I'm like, oh yeah, Reno. So I pull them up on the Encyclopedia of Surfing and then found a bunch of jumping off points. And one of them was that article that Reno had written um, in Surfer Magazine in 1975. And I was like, it's a great article. Like the writing is fantastic. And just this time capsule of him talking about, man, Brewer just raised his prices to 300 and BK just built a shaping machine. I was like, this is incredible. Like insights directly from the North Shore at the time of somebody who's winning the Waimea contest and shaping boards at a high level for Mark Richards, in the free ride movement. That was that winter that he was talking and telling this stuff, and it ran in Surfer Magazine. So I was like, whoa, what a cool time capsule. So I loved hearing more about Reno and hearing directly from Reno, and I'll post a link to that specific article in the show notes today if you want to do a deep dive.
Yeah, and those beautifully foiled wing pintails that he made for MR. And you might recall the year we honored Dick Brewer. I think it was 2009 at Del Mar at the Boardroom show. Um, Reno shaped in that, and a bunch of guys did. Pat Rawson won the shape off. And of course, you know, as the proprietor and the executive director of the show, I get to keep one of the finished boards. And it was between Reno and Pat Ross, and Brewer basically got disgusted with everybody. There was like 15 judges in the judging bay trying to figure out who was the winner. And finally Brewer just took a board, put it under his arm and went, "This is the one." And it was Pat Rawson's. But I remember going, it was between Pat and Reno. And I remember going, wow, Reno's is a lot thinner and nicer and a little bit more foiled. So I chose Reno's board. And eventually I had to get the winning board from a guy who for somehow got it. And he was kind enough to sell it to me. So I do have the winning board that Pat made, but for years, I also had the Reno hanging on my wall. It was beautiful, beautiful Brewer.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, if you watch some of his footage, Reno surfing on Encyclopedia, it's really informative. Like the boards he was riding were very, I don't know. They were modern at the time, but they're very archaic now. But you still watch what he does and you can apply that to your own surfing today?
I actually rode that board too. I paddled
Really?
that board out at Big Winter Cardiff. Yeah, the Reno Brewer that was the one I took from the show. And there's pictures of me riding it. And I remember, just going, oh, and I was fully channeling Mark Richards. Like my whole thing as a kid was MR at Honolulu Bay during that free ride moment where he's just doing those full wounded gull bottom turns and I had that in my head and I waxed the board up and paddled out and I couldn't even, I was just, I wasn't surfing very well, like like the boards have gotten better since then,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But
Well,
I put it
they,
together, but it was definitely,
well,
not what
that,
I was envisioning.
no, but that's kind of what I'm saying is you watch Reno and you could see the board is holding him back, but what he's doing, like the positioning and the commitment to the bottom turn and the line it's still relevant. Like you still do, if you apply those same things, you'll have incredible style and all the fundamentals will be in place regardless of whether you're riding the single fin or anything else.
Yeah, it's amazing how, as soon as Simon made the thruster, we were able to kind of go places on the wave face that maybe we were held back a little bit. At least I was. I'll speak for myself. The single fins, you really kind of had to wait for the wave to offer you an opportunity to gain speed.
Mm,
And so that's what I read. That's what I noticed on the Reno is that I kind of had to wait for the wave to get steep so I could go up there and then,
okay.
but anyway, yeah, look,
Well,
Reno.
I said this conversation would be a jumping off point. What I meant was when I read it and Phil Jarrett's kind of thesis that he invented the surfing resume. And it's like, okay, this guy obviously is surfing at a very high level to win events, but then he's shaping at a very high level too. And then he's traveling the world and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, thinking about what you were talking about last week with Stab Magazine's article of these are the shapers to watch, and seeing the second part of that list this week with additional five. And I go, all these guys are great surfers, guys and girls. It's there was the long era, the last 20 years, maybe even, where you have surfers surfing at a high level, but they don't really know that much about surfboard design. Especially on the CT level, they're just getting a ton of free boards and they're not spending time in the shaping bay. And we even had the conversation of like, man, when was the last surfer shaper to win a world title riding their own boards? It's been a very long time, aside from the longboard side of the business. And but now I think we're in kind of a new era, the last portion where you have the Ryan Birches of the world coming out, where they're, Daniel Thompson certainly, where they're dedicated to shaping, but they're still surfing at a professional high level. And a lot of people on that stab list fit that profile. And then again, traveling the world and getting a bunch of worldly experience. So Reno reminded me of that.
Yeah. And, you mentioned a bunch of little bullet points on his resume. And of course, one of them is he was a highly competent competitor as well. So
It's the
yeah,
first one. That's the first one. He was winning stuff as a junior.
yeah, amazing. And yeah, these new shapers, I'm just now kind of going through this new list from Stab, but pretty cool, man. And I did a podcast yesterday with Chris Morrow about this list, about this concept that there might be high performance shortboard surf shapers that are trying to knock on the door of these top 8 shapers in the world, and it's an interesting concept for sure.
But I love the idea of those shapers, these modern shapers on that list of being high level surfers too.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's crucial, right? And look, as I've mentioned, we all love getting boards from guys that surf well. Something about that that makes sense.
Well, the first one on the list, we can name him real quick. Ashton Pickle,
Yeah.
AH Vessels. I've been communicating with Ashton for a couple of years now, just casually through DMs and stuff like that. I think Donald Brink was the first one who mentioned him to me, like, hey, I'm working with this guy and he's really, really good, making interesting boards and also surfing really well. So great to see Ashton included in that. Next on the list, Kobe Hughes, who you're local, in your backyard, Encinitas, and he was also featured in a stab.
He's literally a neighbor of mine. Like
Oh,
I
really?
could walk to his house right now.
Oh, he's in your little
Yeah.
hood right there?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So do you surf with him often and see him around?
No, no. I rarely see him. I'm not even sure I could pick him out of a lineup. Actually,
That's
I do
hilarious.
see him. He kind of hangs out in the summertime with Birch in the Swami zone, and I see him there occasionally.
So he's Birch's nephew,
Hmm.
and also finished third in that electric acid surfboard test with Sean Manners, I believe was that one.
Yeah.
Um, Tom Murat, his label's called Dice Propaganda, and he splits his time apparently between San Diego, Noosa, and Biarritz. Just turned 25 years old, so I'm not familiar with him, but I will be following him now. Sean Mawson, Moscode Surfboards out of New South Wales. Ryan Campbell, who I have met, and he's the son of Stuart Campbell in Queensland, Australia, ex-pro surfer. So, like I said, phenomenal, you know, surfing prowess in addition to his shaping. And I think that's it. That's the top five.
Yeah. So that's so cool. Like I'm excited that Stab's introducing us to maybe some guys that not all of us are familiar with. So I think that's kind of like there's plenty of upside there, right? I mean, how many it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I could order boards from all of these people and be pretty stoked to try some new stuff out. Um, you know, I personally can't do that. I've already got two new boards coming for Peru that I've got to figure out. So yeah,
Um,
that's cool, man. I'm stoked that Stab did this little push on some new shapers.
there's more surfboards and shapers than there are days in the week or opportunities to ride them. So you can't do it all. But Scott, you are trying harder than anybody I know.
Well, it's funny because as I get older, I'm getting kind of to a place where it's like I'm not even sure I'm good enough to to handle all what's underneath my feet, you
Oh,
know?
yeah. 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 By the way, you said you interviewed Chris Morrow yesterday. As I go
Yeah.
through these magazines from the early 2000s, late 90s, Chris Morrow's name is all over.
Yeah. He
Like
and I,
every little interview, every little feature, he is the guy that's interviewing everybody and doing a lot of the writing.
yeah, he and I worked at Surfer together in that same sort of 10-year period. And, the Surfing Heritage and Culture Center, Chris is involved in that now. And I'm sure you heard the news, but forever, the Surfing Heritage and Culture Center has been looking for sort of a public facing place, a walk up brick and mortar building that the public could enjoy. And in fact, yesterday I was talking to, I was going to, he was going, yeah, it's going to be a great event center. You guys can do your podcast from there. And I was like, we used to do our podcast from there. In fact, numerous times we would do our podcast from the parking lot of the Surfing Heritage and Culture Center in my truck. We would sit there and do our podcast waiting for Barry to come open the doors. So you and I have a long history of SHACC and doing podcasts.
Barry was waiting for another set wave at Sano. And so we were sitting in the truck waiting for him to open the doors. Um, did they find a location? Is the
They
location
did.
secure?
So
Okay,
they do. They have a wonderful new large facility right on the beach in Laguna Beach. So
that's
they've
right.
purchased a building, and that's the big news for the summer of 2025 is I anticipate they'll probably have a grand opening sometime in August or September.
That's right. Dick Metz did tell me about that and what an incredible space they got. So
Yeah.
huge. It is all full circle for Dick Metz to have been born and raised in Laguna to have it all come back like that is incredible. 90 years later.
Yeah. So exciting times for SHACC, Surfing Heritage and Culture Center. And yeah.
Yeah, go become a member. By the way, can't understate that. SHACC, SHACC.org. Going there physically is the best bet, but if you can't, if you're nowhere nearby, at least go utilize their resource of their website and support their work that way. I also have a listener call that I could play for you real quickly. It's regarding our conversation about the surfboard shaper not returning phone calls last week. Somebody
Oh,
else had an alternative opinion about that, and I thought it fit nicely with what we were just talking about.
okie dokie. Let's
I'm
hear
going to
it.
play that for you. Let me pull up the call.
David and Scott, interesting take on the can't get a hold of my shaper issue. I just kind of look at it a little bit differently. I've been lucky enough to work with tons of shapers in the course of my 60 years of surfing. Everyone from Jeff Bushman to Simon Jones to all the guys at Infinity, Dave Bainey. And I will tell you, the one thing that group probably appreciated was the continual business support. So, you can't bite your nose off to spite yourself when you have someone who's buying boards from you consistently, thousands of dollars over the course of the years working with them, and not call them back. So, kind of a basic business model. I know for sure, a guy like Bushman, if you're one of the guys who've gotten boards for him, you're getting a call back. And I know from Simon Jones, because I was able to get a handful of boards from him before, where he actually reached out to me, he said, and asked when I ordered a new one, hey, I'll take care of you. I know you're a good customer. It'll probably take me 5, 6 to him with someone like that. So I have had situations where kind of shapers have never gotten back to me, and it's always been interesting when I've seen them again. Great young San Diego shaper that I had make me a couple fish. Like a year or two later, he saw me having a beer and said, hey man, when are we going to make you a new board? And I said, I kind of sent you 5 emails for you to make me something. Yeah, let's get together. Crickets. So best business model, guys, have always been ones that at least get back to you when you call them. I'm not a big fan of saying you're too busy to reach out. That kind of doesn't work. So great show, guys. Really enjoyed it, though. Later.
I love this take. And last week I was making the argument that, hey, give a little bit of grace to the shaper, and I still feel that way, but I also think this is a great message for shapers to hear and to heed, which is promptness and customer service should always be priority.
Yeah, I agree. It is a good take, just a quick phone call or text back always kind of helps keep the ball rolling, right? Yeah, for
Look,
sure.
I think when times are good, maybe COVID era or whatever, it's easy to get caught behind and just feel like business will always be there. But over the course of your career, you'll look back and there's a couple of fundamentals that are just evergreen, and that is customer service. You have to have a quality product, and your competitive pricing helps a lot. And so if you kind of focus your business on those 3 things as your true north, then that fluctuation will be between the good times and the bad will be a lot less drastic, I would think.
Yeah, look, seems to be a lot of surfboard makers out there. There's a lot of shapers like to choose from. So the ones that get back to you seem like they should get your energy um, and the ones that don't, I guess they're busy.
Yep. And there's other ones willing to pick up the phone.
Um, I have a who said that for you
All right, let's do
if
it.
you're ready for it. So I'm going to quote this person, and you're going to tell me uh, who it was that said that. When my mom and dad came over here, my dad was on leave. They were on vacation. And my dad met a guy named Leroy Achoy. He was a Waikiki beach boy and was a lifeguard at Barber's Point. My dad was saw Leroy surfing tandem and went up to him later and said, hey, I have a daughter and I'd really like for her to learn how to tandem surf. If we ever come over here again, would you be willing to teach her? And he said, sure. Who said that, David? Was it one, Linda DeVoli, B, Becky Benson, By the way, I'm laughing that I'm mixing up one in letters and numbers. Was it A, Linda DeVoli, B, Becky Benson, C, Jericho Poplar, or D, Margot Oberg? Who said that, David?
Linda Benson?
You mean Becky Benson?
Oh, sorry. Becky Benson. Linda Benson's a surfer too.
You're right. It was Becky Benson. Becky Benson. I feel like you maybe interviewed her.
No, I have
No.
not.
Okay. Becky Benson, daughter of Colonel Benson, right? Tally-ho? No, that's Tally-ho Blears. Okay. Yeah. Colonel Benson, who was a photographer.
Very
So,
good.
Becky
So,
Benson.
where is this quote from?
The Encyclopedia of Surfing,
Okay.
Matt Warshaw's vast trove of information on the history of surfing. And that's where I grabbed this interview with Becky Benson back in the early 70s.
So, is she related to Linda Benson?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, she's not.
Then did her daughter ever come back and become a tandem surfer?
Well, you mean her, yeah, his daughter is Becky Benson. So,
Oh, okay. Got it.
yes, she became a famous surfer. They
So
moved and lived
Becky
in
is, I thought, okay. So he was talking about his Colonel Benson was the one speaking, and the options were the actual daughter.
right.
Got it. Sorry.
That's okay. Not my best effort, perhaps.
So Becky Benson got her start going tandem.
You know what? Um, I got a text from Sam McIntosh from Stab. How surfers get paid. A new episode is coming out on July 27th,
Sweet.
and it's called The Negotiators. And I think it's about agents, surf agents. And the little bit thing that he sent me, I'm sure it's probably on Stab too. But it had some little teases from Stephen Bell and Taj Burrow and Jamie O'Brien, and Duma's in it, and Graham Stapleberg. So it looks like another stellar episode coming our way here in about 10 days from Stab. How surfers get paid, the negotiators.
I'm in. I like
Yeah.
it.
It looks great. It looks
I
wonderful.
That's one angle or side of the business I have zero exposure to. And so it's always very fascinating to me to see who those guys are, how they operate, and how beneficial they are to the surfer's pocketbook.
Well, we'll see. There seems to be some controversy about that. And maybe some pro surfers feel like they got duped or ripped off, according
Oh,
to
okay.
sort of the tease that was sent to me. So,
Well,
but I agree. I'm fascinated by that too. I've always wondered, why not just walk in there on your own and do your own negotiating?
because the negotiator tends to pay for themselves, like a lot of surfers would undervalue themselves and they're just grateful probably to get a box of clothing. And then the negotiator comes in and is like, "Are you kidding me? So and so is getting paid 300K a year. You should be making 200 or something." And the surfer's like, "It's more money than I ever considered." So I think if the surfer knows their worth and understands those details, then yeah, they can go negotiate for themselves. But the vast majority probably don't.
Yeah. And as I look back on it, it could be easy to be sort of ignorant about your value.
Of
You need
course.
somebody. There was a guy, and you know who I'm thinking of. I can't. Marlon.
Blair,
Yeah, Marlon Blair. I think
Blair
he was
Marlin.
Blair Marlin. Thank you.
Again,
And he
Scott's
was.
been sick.
I feel like he was Andy and Bruce's agent. I remember
He
back
was.
when in the day, we would get calls at Surfer from him, kind of, you know, guiding us whether it would be a good time to get images or do an interview with one Andy or Bruce, um, and he was working at what was that?
Wasserman.
Yes, thank you, Wasserman. And
I'm not good at who said that, but I'm great at filling in the gaps for
well,
you.
this feels like this is right in your wheelhouse too, as far as timing as a young surf fan. Um, but anyway, regardless, this should be a really fascinating episode. And
Yeah.
from the teases that I saw, there was some conflict that looked like it's going to be fun to check out.
Well, I think that profession has changed so much now because the Blair Marlins of the world were knew the surf brands really well and had all the context there. And then, of course, understood surf media landscape and how to disseminate all the information. But they're not really doing business with the surf brands anymore. And the media landscape is now non-endemic and completely different and algorithm based. And so it's almost like you could be a agent at, WME in the YouTube kind of expertise realm and have more relevance to helping professional surfers, Koa Rothman and Nathan Florence and everybody else earn a living. And then the Griffin Colapintos of the world could actually rely on you to help boost their profile, basically.
Yeah, you're right. The landscape has completely shifted and changed, and I feel like it's more of a moving target than it's ever been. It's kind of constantly
It,
shifting here, as especially as AI kicks in.
it's always been evolving, but you're right, more of a moving target now than ever before. And next week will be more than this week. So yeah, important to have people. And by the way, if you have those people on your team, great. Just focus on surfing. You know what I mean? Like they're incentivized to make you more money because they make a percentage. And so give them the keys and just focus on surfing.
Yeah, it almost feels like, you could say that, let's say 3 years ago, how many followers you had on Instagram was a big deal. Now, I'm sure that's still a huge deal, but there's probably also ways of understanding, okay, yeah, you've got, let's say 500,000 followers on Instagram, but how is that being converted into something that's beneficial to me and my brand? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, completely.
hmm,
All
interesting.
right.
We'll see.
Well, by the way, JBay took place. A couple of days of competition took place since we last recorded. Did you pay any attention at all?
I did. I've been trying to catch up and watch some of it. The thing that is of note to me is what's about to go down, which is if you look at the men's draw, the bracket stage here, we're in the quarterfinals. Each quarterfinal, there's four men's quarterfinals. Each one of them is kind of crucial to the top five as we only have one more event after this. Felipe Toledo is on the outside looking in. He's in a quarterfinal. Ethan Ewing is on the outside. No, Ethan Ewing is in the top five, but could easily drop out of the top five. He's got a battle with Connor O'Leary. Kanoa and Griffin Colapinto, they're battling for top five stakes. And
Kanoa's
so,
third, so he's holding on to it, but Griff's sixth, and this could definitely help him
yeah, this could be
leapfrog.
a flip. There seems like each quarterfinal, it's kind of crucial to the top five. Like, so anyway, and then Leonardo, I think is like eighth or ninth. He could make a big spike forward if somehow he defeats Iago Dora in their quarterfinal. So each quarterfinal has real stakes for what's happening as the top five shakes out.
Completely agree. One thing that I don't know if this was just implemented in this event because I never noticed it before, but they're doing a live rankings on worldsurfleague.com. So it used to be that you'd pull up the rankings and you had to wait till the end of the event to understand how things are shifting. But right now they're shifting them automatically per heat. So Yago Dora actually moved into the first place position with his quarterfinals here at JBay. And that's because Jordy lost in the round of 16, got a ninth place finish. So Jordy was a favored to win this event. He was holding the first position. He's had a great season, a couple of wins already. And so it was kind of surprising to see him go down at his quote home break. Um, Italo, very consequential performance from Italo. He lost in the round of 16 as well. So he's just locking in 3,300 points for this event. And that gives the others that you already mentioned, the Ethan, the Griffin, the Felipe, the Leonardo, all an opportunity to kind of bump Italo out. And Ethan's sitting in the fifth spot. still in the event, but wants to do well here to keep that fifth spot or the top five spots.
Yeah, and with Griffin nipping at his heels, I feel like the Ethan situation is really one that we need to watch as we see these quarterfinals unfold.
But
And
consequential performances for Jordy and Idolo. They're in the top five and they lost.
yeah, I know.
Ninth place finishes.
This is kind of a time of the season where you need to be solidifying your competitive prowess and kind of basically, putting a stamp on things and saying, "Hey, look, I know there's pressure on me and I'm saying bring it." You know what I mean? And look, the waves, the wind got kind of weird in Jordy's heat. Um, I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying that um, a smooth ocean wave face would be ideal to the power hacks.
Yeah. Well, I told you to watch out for Leonardo Fioravanti in this event, and here he is up against Iago Dora. Who's your pick?
Well, I mean, Leonardo's kind of in that I've got nothing to lose place. Um, but Iago's sort of a competitive beast. I mean, so I don't know. That's a tough one. You know,
I'm sticking with Leonardo. I think Iago has put on a great performance thus far. I see Leonardo charging through direct to the finals. I'm going Leonardo over Iago. I'm going Griffin Colapinto over Kanoa. I'm going Felipe over Marco and Ethan over Connor.
okay. Well, we shall see. Like I said, if ever there was a finals day to watch, especially early on, we're going to see a lot of shake up here.
Do you have any idea when the event's going to run?
Well, they're saying the 18th,
Oh, okay.
but
So tomorrow.
I'll take a quick peek here.
Tomorrow in the middle of the night.
You know what? Let's take a minor little break here and let me come back to that.
Let's do it. All right. Welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Forecast.
The forecast for JBay, according to Surfline, is I guess that's bad. I don't know what their color scheme is anymore, but for Friday, the 18th, it's 8 to 12 feet, but it's all purple. And I don't know if that's a bad wind. I think it's a good wind. Purple.
That is so funny. It
I know.
used to be good.
Purple. It's 8 to 12 feet, and it feels like, oh, it's offshore. Yeah, so it's offshore
good.
wind. So yeah, it's going to be all time on Friday the 18th.
Yeah.
Offshore.
It's large
8 to
wave
12
heights,
feet.
potentially epic conditions.
It says offshore wind here. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, go figure. You know what? I guess it's evening there right now. They're surfing. I don't know if it's morning or evening or what, but there's light on the surface.
All right. Well, I will be watching. Anything else on JBay, or can I?
No, I'm kind of.
So I've got a couple of things I want to call your attention to. First of all, Surfrider Foundation. We always say, become a member, support the ocean needs more friends. Well, here's reasons why. They do a beach cleanup report every year, basically report the stats on what was picked up and cleaned off of beaches. They do these local beach cleanups and they collect everything. They track all the data. They use that data to go then to Washington, D.C. and lobby for change. They just released their 2024 beach cleanup report, and 365,000 pounds of trash was collected. 39,000 volunteers participated in a total of 1,268 cleanups around the country. So that is pretty massive.
Wow. Yeah. Good stuff. It's one of those stats where it's like, that's great. That's a lot of trash they picked up. And, so part of me is like, okay, wonderful. And then the other part of me is like, God, how much trash are we throwing out on the beaches?
crazy amount. I mean, the funny thing is, it's not funny. Interesting thing is, it's limited by the number of volunteers. So, I mean, there was, yeah, 360, whatever I said, 365, 218 pounds of trash. If there was double the volunteers, there'd be double the amount of trash picked up. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
kind of,
That's what's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, that's,
So they break it down even further by items collected. The most number of items collected was cigarette butts, 181,000 cigarette butts. Uh, Large plastic fragments from water bottles and cups, 71,000. Plastic food wrappers, 47,000. Plastic straws, 17,000. So pretty interesting data. Pretty, I think Chad Nelson, what he told me is like, we're never going to beach cleanup our way out of the problem. We need to stop stop plastic straws from being put into the ocean basically instead. And so that's where we take this data, we go and we make legislative change. There's um there's been laws, I forget what they call them, like user responsibility laws basically. So the manufacturer of the plastic then becomes responsible for the lifespan of the plastic and you hold them accountable. So that's a very practical way of doing that. But he said ultimately there's people alive today who used to go into the ocean before the ocean had plastic in it. And now in
yeah,
their lifetime, this is how bad the problem has gotten. So we need to work at a way of reverse engineering that.
yeah. Okay, well,
So
more power to the Surfrider. Thanks for their diligent work.
yeah, surfrider.org, obviously become a member. This is the type of work that they're doing and being that kind of fastidious about the data and providing all the updates. One other thing I wanted to get to before we go, one of my favorite people in surf right now is Josiah Amico. And he's in a situation, they just had a newborn baby and kind of a crazy situation. And so they've set up a GoFundMe. Somebody from their friend group set up a GoFundMe. But basically, he announced a while back that he and his wife were pregnant. I don't know, Josiah's maybe in his mid 20s. You see him hosting the Surf 100 for Stab. He's gotten involved with Stab, but he's also doing work for Channel Islands in recent years. Santa Barbara kid, or Ventura County kid, anyways. And so his wife, he and his young wife they were going to have a kid. And what happened was his wife got hit by a car walking. So thankfully, directly from the GoFundMe, thankfully the car was making a turn on a main street and was not driving at an accelerated speed. So there wasn't a serious injury to Claire nor the baby. However, while she was in the ER having her leg wound treated, the tests being run to ensure that she was okay with the baby discovered that Claire had preeclampsia. Because she would be 37 weeks the next day, 37 weeks pregnant the next day, they chose to admit her. And by midnight, they began to induce her. That Friday, June 27th, Sullivan was born, but fairly soon after was transferred to the NICU as they noticed the baby was having trouble breathing on its own. So they found out that he had a hole in his lungs and he would need to undergo emergency surgery. So thankfully, this kind of accident alerted them to this. She ended up in the hospital. They ran some tests and alerted them to the fact that she had preeclampsia. Then the subsequent thing was that the baby had a hole in its lungs. So as you can imagine, Southern California healthcare system, all that, they're hit with this massive medical debt, basically medical bills and debt. So they've set up a GoFundMe to support the Amico family. The goal is to raise $50,000. They're at 23,000 right now. Sam McIntosh, who you just mentioned, happens to be the top donor on this GoFundMe. So if you want to contribute and support this great cause, we'll set a link in the show notes.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's horrible, but let's step up and help out for sure.
Mom's going to be okay. The baby's getting the treatment that it needs. So that's all good news. But again, the medical debt is a real burden for a
Yeah.
young family.
Good Lord. Yeah.
And I've told the boys at Channel Islands in the past, I'm like, Josiah is your biggest uh undervalued asset in the company. The kid is hilarious. He's great in front of the camera. it's kind of a deadpan style of humor. Like it's not over the top exuberant. Like but he's very sharp. He's very funny. He's a phenomenal surfer. So big fan of Josiah, and yeah,
All
nothing but
right.
well wishes and prayers for the family.
Yeah, for sure. Well, good. Let's let's look, check the link in the show notes
Yeah,
and let's do some GoFundMe mojo here. Let's move this forward.
absolutely. And then and in closing, I have a must-see moment presented by Treeswax, treeswax.com. Use the promo code SPIT to get your discount on Treeswax. Petroleum-free surf wax. And by the way, Christian will be at the Boardroom show. So come out
Yeah.
and grab a few bars there.
Yeah.
But treeswax.com, promo code SPIT. I think it's 20% discount and guaranteed too. They're like cashback guarantee. If you don't like the product, we'll pay you back. So go try petroleum-free surf wax at Treeswax. But my must-see moment, Scott, is an unlikely one. Sean Davey has a photography book out on Blurb, and it's the King Island. This is King Island, the book about King Island. King Island's a little island between Australia, kind of Sydney area of Australia, and Tasmania. Sits right there. And
Yeah.
I interviewed Sean Davey for Surf Splendor. I'm going to publish it today or tomorrow. Fantastic chat with Sean. And
Yeah.
I was very familiar with Sean's work that was always published in the magazines. He has so much work that's unpublished. And he was showing me through a slideshow. And it was like, whoa. And then he's like, yeah, I published a bunch in this King Island book. And I'm like, I didn't even know that book existed. What? So I went and I looked at it. You can self-publish on this website called Blurb, and you can thumb through the book on a digital kind of version of it. And then you can also order a soft cover or a hard cover. And that obviously money goes directly to the content creator. But Sean had gone to King Island every year for like 15 years. And he was slowly inviting people to come. He kept it a secret for a long time, and then he slowly started inviting people to come. So this photo book is the result of those 15 years. And it's trips including Derek Hind, Joe and Tom Curran, Andrew Kidman, Kelly Slater, Eddie Vedder, Tom Carroll, Brendan Margison, Frankie Oberholzer, Jamie O'Brien, like this endless list of people from a vast kind of styles of surfing and eras surfing these insane waves on this really, really unique island. So
Yeah.
this is King Island by Sean Davey.
Cool. All right. Well, let's check it out. Must see moment presented by
Must
Treeswax.
see moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll link to it. And there was a really kind of great film from my teenage years called The Fifth Symphony Document. And it was made by Chad Campbell. And the final segment of the film was Kelly Slater and Eddie Vedder at King Island. And when Sean was telling me about King Island, I'm like, yeah, I remember that video, and that segment. He goes, yeah, I was on that trip. Like I invited those guys and that ended up in the film, but that was one of the trips that's in the book. So lots of really cool history in this book.
Right on. Well, and is that Chad from the Big Island?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a boat driver over on Tavarua, right? Isn't he one of
Yep.
the guides, surf guides?
Yep.
Yeah. Great guy. Super nice guy.
Yeah, he's great. Big
All
fan
right.
of Chad.
I am too. Look, David, until next time, adios and aloha.